What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some very, very interesting news. As former world champion turned well-renowned former trainer of the year, future Hall of Fame trainer, Robert Garcia, he reveals the plans of undefeated, newly crowned, unified lightweight world champion, Australian star boxer George Kambosos Jr., 20 wins, no losses, no draws, 10 wins by way of knockout. He is 28 years of age, 5'9" with a 70-inch arm reach. He's coming off of a shocking win over former unified lightweight world champion superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez. With that said, that fight took place November 27th at Madison Square Garden in New York, New York. Well, George Kambosos Jr. is promoted by Lou DiBella. And so, Robert Garcia, he explains that he and Lou DiBella are very close friends. They have a very close relationship. And he stated that he wasn't going to reveal everything Lou DiBella told him, but he revealed that Lou DiBella and George Kambosos Jr. already have a plan in place to face undefeated rising Mexican superstar title contender King Ryan Garcia in their next fight. He stated that Lou DiBella accidentally called him and thought that he was the matchmaker and the exec for Golden Boy Promotions with Oscar De La Hoya and Ryan Garcia. Golden Boy promotes Ryan Garcia. So Lou DiBella accidentally called Robert Garcia, thinking that he was the other Garcia from Golden Boy, and he started explaining to Robert Garcia, who stated that I just sat and listened, the plans to promote the fight between Ryan Garcia and George Kambosos Jr., okay? And he started to talk about the different things. We could do this, we could do that to promote the fight. We can make this happen, is what Robert Garcia is saying. And Robert Garcia starts laughing and he says, because he don't have a dog in the race, okay? He starts laughing and he says, he spilled the beans by accident. And he said he called him back a second time after he listened. He called him back a second time and started to go into it. And Robert Garcia stopped him and said, listen, you got the wrong Garcia. And he said, Lou DiBella then paused and said, wait, you are not this Garcia? And he said, no, I'm Robert Garcia. So he's not the Garcia from Golden Boy, okay? So, excuse me, he believed that it was Robert Diaz, not Robert Garcia. I said Garcia. So he had the wrong Robert. He thought it was Robert Garcia. He thought it was Robert Diaz of Golden Boy Promotion, but it was actually Robert Garcia. Listen to what he had to say.
Then a few days later, I didn't tell him I wasn't Robert Diaz. So you're like, all right, I didn't tell him. Then.
So you heard what he said. I didn't tell Lou DiBella I wasn't Robert Diaz. I never said anything. I just stayed and listened. So a few days later, he called back. And Lou DiBella, he thought it was Robert Diaz again of Golden Boy Promotions. So let's just listen to what Robert Garcia had to say.
Robert Diaz. So you're like, all right, I didn't tell him. Then a few days later, he called me with somebody else on the line. I don't know if I think about it, I remember it was somebody else, somebody big. And they're like, hey, Robert, this and that. I'm like, this is happening again. Lou, why are you trying to call? You're not Robert Diaz? No, I'm Robert Garcia. Oh, shit, we're trying to call Robert Diaz. Well, you already called me a week ago, and you told me you told me everything.
So you heard what he said. You told me everything. You spilled the beans. So the plan was already in place for Lou DiBella, as Lou DiBella told us when he did the interview with the TBV, the Boxing Voice, and shout out to Nesta Gibbs, when she called Devin Haney an email champion and said that their number one objective was to secure a fight with undefeated 3-division world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis, or to secure a fight with possibly Olympic 2-time gold medalist, 3-division world champion, former unified lightweight world champion, Ukrainian superstar boxer Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko. Okay? So this was always the plan. But legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO and promoter Bob Arum has no interest in paying big money to George Kambosos Jr. So that's off the table. And George Kambosos Jr. and Lou DiBella want a rematch clause, and Bob Arum has already let us know he don't believe in rematch clauses. So that's off the table, okay? So now, fast forward, Devin Haney was the plan. Devin Haney obliged George Kambosos Jr. Now, George Kambosos Jr. is trying to make it seem as if Devin Haney is not trying to go to Australia to make the fight happen, okay? When Devin Haney already stated he's willing to oblige George Kambosos and go to Australia and make the fight happen. But now, George Kambosos takes to social media saying that, newsflash, all the stadiums in Australia are open up and you never sent me a contract. What's ironic? Because this is another contradiction on the part of George Kambosos and his team, because Lou DiBella took to social media and he says that they couldn't find, get this, they couldn't find the necessary amount to satisfy Devin Haney. So they offered Devin Haney a contract. They couldn't find the amount that would satisfy him, and he turned it down. But George Kambosos Jr. is saying that Devin Haney never offered him the contract, and he's waiting for Devin Haney to send him the contract, because we know that Eddie Hearn, Matchroom CEO and promoter, and DAZN, who works with Devin Haney, DHP, Devin Haney Promotions, father, trainer, manager Bill Haney, they co-promote together. So Eddie Hearn, he stated that there was a deal on the table, there's money on the table from a group, an investment group across seas that's willing to put up big money for this fight. Okay? So with that said, he stated, this being Eddie Hearn, you have to be cautious with going to Australia because Australia is only 50% capacity. So it don't make sense to go to Australia if they're not letting 100 capacity of fans enter the arena. So George Kambosos Jr. is now trying to turn it back on Devin Haney and say, well, Australia is 100% open next month. As I told you guys, George Kambosos Jr. was stalling because he was trying to attempt to allow the arenas to open 100% capacity in Australia. So they weren't open 100%, as Eddie Hearn is trying to secure a venue and a date and a fight. So right now, as we speak, it's not open 100%. Okay, so George Kambosos Jr. taking to his social media and saying that it'll be open next month 100%. Well, you can't guarantee it's going to be open 100% next month in March. Okay, so he's saying in March it's going to be open 100%. Well, we are in February, the beginning of February. So how could you guarantee? You can't come to an agreement and negotiate a contract and a venue and a date if you can't guarantee that the fans right now, as it stands, the fans can't buy 100% of the tickets in any venue in Australia. So if they come to agreement today, and let's say they have the Blue Australian Arena, hypothetically speaking, don't know if that's not an arena, but let's say the Blue Australian Arena holds 40,000 fans. Well, if they agree today and announce that they're going to have the fight in the Blue Australian Arena in Australia, and the tickets go on sale, well, then the fans can only buy 20,000 seats, because today, as it stands, it's not open 100%, right? But he tries to make it seem as if Devin Haney is dragging his feet with going to Australia, when Devin Haney let it be known that he's taken every precaution, every measure possible to make this fight happen. He's willing to go to Australia. He told him, I'll go to Jupiter if I have to. So he says, you don't have to. He's trying to twist it around on him. As he told him, now he's saying that Devin Haney doesn't have any money. Well, Devin Haney don't have any money to offer you, but your promoter is saying that they're the ones that's making the offer, and you can't come up with the offer. So they're giving you the runaround, and they're trying to use misdirections, and they're trying to place blame on Devin Haney for this fight not happening, but they're doing it in a contradiction manner, okay? They're telling you at one point they offered him big money, but he's turning it down, and they can't come up to a number and an agreement, so they have to look elsewhere. But in the same token, George Kambosos Jr. is saying something completely different. He's saying that Devin Haney needs to send him the big money, but his promoter is saying that they're trying to send Devin Haney the big money, but he's not willing to oblige. Which one is it? It's neither, because Lou DiBella never had interest in making a fight. between Devin Haney and George Kambosos Jr. Period. As he told you on the Boxing Voice, immediately following his victory over Teofimo Lopez, that Devin Haney was an email champion and let you know everything you need to know. Now, George Kambosos Jr. is on the record saying that he knew he had to go through Devin Haney to be undisputed. Well, now you hear they've been this entire time negotiating a deal to try to fight Ryan Garcia, as it was reported when George Kambosos Jr. came out. Again, another contradiction, because he came out and he stated that he had no interest in fighting Ryan Garcia. His only interest is in fighting Devin Haney or Lomachenko, a big fight in Australia, not Ryan Garcia. And he told Ryan Garcia to take a ticket and sit in line and wait until he's finished with either Lomachenko or Devin Haney in his next fight. But now he's telling the world that he indeed will be fighting Ryan Garcia, as Lou DiBella has stated, and everybody was at the understanding that they would do a one-off, meaning Ryan Garcia have a tune-up, George Kambosos Jr. have a tune-up, and then they'll come together and have a fight in the future. Well, according to Robert Garcia, this is the plan that's already being placed in motion by Lou DiBella. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hi, my name is Heather Vahid Hardy, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.